From the air, you can see how sinking land, rising water, and man-made channels are washing away the natural land bridge in East New Orleans that separates Lake Borgne at the bottom of your screen from Lake Pontchartrain at the top.
This is the last line of natural defense for storm surge getting into Lake Pontchartrain. So it's critical that this place be restored.
And Murray Starkle's firm is rebuilding this marsh with slurry it's pumping from Lake Borgne.
So we're taking the material that has eroded into Lake Borgne and putting it back into the marsh.
Starkle invited us for a flyover so we can see how the private equity firm where he is managing director, Ecosystem Investment Partners, is rebuilding this marsh. He shows me and the former president of the Southeast Flood Protection Authority East, Tim Duty, how water has overtaken much of the marsh.
We own 17,000 acres here.
Starkle's firm operates the Chef Mentor Pass Wetland Mitigation Bank. That's a business that sells restoration credits to developers and government agencies which have caused an impact to the environment. Federal law says if you damage a wetland area, you have to restore an equal amount of wetland someplace else or buy credits from a mitigation bank like Starkle's so they can restore a wetland.
We've done 500 plus acres of restoration. There's another 6,500 to 7,000 acres that we want to restore.
He says those sandy areas in the marsh are the most recent areas of restoration.
And if you look at the periphery of those sandy areas, you'll see that vegetation is already starting to grow there.
He says the restoration has transformed open water 6 inches to 2 feet deep into the marsh where he is standing right now.
It's the healthiest, most verdant marsh in the entire area because it's got new nutrients and new sediments.
Mitigation banks are overseen by the Army Corps of Engineers and a host of other agencies. Starkle says his firm has guaranteed the work with a surety bond and raised tens of millions of dollars from up to 40 investors, including pension plans and individuals who expect to make a profit from selling those credits to developers.
The government does not set the price. We set the price, and typically we try to charge what it would cost the developer to do it.
He won't reveal the price, but it's reportedly in the upper tens of thousands of dollars per acre. He says it's a smart way to restore wetland losses.
It is, I think, the most effective and efficient way to get there.
Yeah, I really do think it's productive and it's workable for Louisiana.
But why is the same restoration model that is rebuilding this wetland under attack for another wetland project?
It's a crisis.
I think it's hurting us.
St. Tammany President Pat Brister says the cost of mitigation has delayed and even killed plans for some private projects. And she says that has hurt the parish.
We don't have the services, we don't have the tax dollars that we need also.
Developer Robert Bruno says his firm had to halt plans for a residential development here in St. Tammany because the Army Corps of Engineers changed the formula for the number of mitigation credits required per acre, the cost jumping from $30,000 an acre to $90,000.
It's really a man-made crisis in the sense that people that want to work, people that want to buy houses, developers that want to develop property can't do anything. Can't afford to because of this bureaucratic morass.
Bruno and Brister both support the kind of projects that restore coastal areas like the one in East New Orleans. But they question the value of the St. Tammany project, which doesn't even seem to have wet land.
I see a bunch of pine trees. I don't see any water on the ground.
It turns out Starkle's firm also owns the Mossy Hill Wetland Mitigation Bank in northern St. Tammany. Pictures on its website show what it's doing. This picture is before restoration. The pictures show the trees being cut down, hauled away. The caption on this says 1,200 acres to be burned to promote native species.
It doesn't necessarily help our coast when we're trying to restore our coast.
Actually, the Army Corps' Martin Myers says most mitigation banks are not on the coast.
There are some in the coastal zone. The vast percentage of the banks are outside the coastal zone, but we do have a few.
Starkle says the pine savanna, which Mossy Hill is restoring, is the original native ecosystem which once covered 90% of the Gulf South and now only covers 2%. He says the Corps has classified it as rare, imperiled, difficult to replace, with the highest priority for restoration.
Rebuilding cypress trees and all that stuff and Christmas trees and rebuilding wetlands is good. Keeping developers from developing pine savanna pastures is awful.
And Brister objects to the mitigation money going to an out-of-state company. She says she's working with the Corps right now to get a permit so St. Tammany can set up its own mitigation bank and save the parish money. Dennis Woltering, Eyewitness News.